welcome through this special presentation. I am your host Rika Roy and we are talking about Telangana's story, Telangana's sports story. I'll introduce you to my guests on the show. Olympic bronze medalist from the London Games, Gagan Narang. We also have young shooter Isha Singh with us, who's a protege of Gagan and who's lately been winning a lot of international medals. She won a couple of them in Germany last month. And I also have Aditya Mehta, paracyclist, who has accomplished, in fact, several records, all from the state of Telangana. But the reason we are talking about Telangana at this point in time are two big wins that has happened very, very recently. One is the Thomas Cup win and one is the boxing world championship win by Nikhat Zareen. She became the world champion. Both these wins have a relation to the state of Telangana. All these stars, in fact, are from Telangana. These stars are from Telangana, and we would like to know from them where the state stands today in terms of sports and where it is going next. Gagan, I'll start with you. You always say that you're a product of the system. You are not despite the system, which many claim, but because of what the system has offered you. Pretty much you have been the Christopher Columbus of shooting in this state. Tell us how it all began and what would you really say? What do you really mean by being a product of the system?
Well, Rika, I think when you say that I've been a product of the system, I believe that,
I think that's something you say, and I'm just reiterating what you say.
Yeah, but I also believe that I'm a product of the system because, I didn't have any godfather when I started the sport of shooting. It was just friends and family and a small shooting range, which was in the club nearby, and I would walk to the shooting range, shoot, then senior shooters would come in, they would train, I would watch them, learn from them, and try and see what we can do. And they would ask me, okay, do you want to shoot 5 shots? And I would say, yeah, sure, because they had the latest weapons and so on and so forth. So I would shoot 5 shots and then walk back home. And I think since then, the journey has been fantastic. I think now I'm giving back to the sport. So we've come a very, very long way from walking to the shooting range to walking till here now.
5 shots, it became 600 shots. How did that transition happen, and did it happen here, right here in this city?
Yes,
yesterday?
absolutely. I think my parents moved to Hyderabad and ever since we've been here and I also joined Air India here in Hyderabad. So it's been a fantastic journey. 2002 was the turning moment in Telangana, erstwhile Andhra Pradesh, and that's when the whole infrastructure was created for sport and the national games happened. And I won a silver medal at the national games then. Then after, I think the Afro-Asian Games happened here in 2003, which gave a big boost to the sporting field and the sporting firmament in Telangana. And I guess this is a byproduct of the investment that has happened over a period of so many years. We've been supported by the government in terms of the kind of infrastructure that we have, and all thanks to the state, the government of India, and so on and so forth.
Isha, you are the next generation. Tell us, how has Gagan's journey, seeing him inspired you in what you're doing right now, winning international medals at such a young age? You started winning medals when you were 13.
Yeah. When I was 13, the national championship, which was in Kerala, that's where I won. It was a big motivation for me. He was my biggest inspiration, my first inspiration. I would see his posters all over the academy, and I would be like, I want to be there. That's where I got the exposure of Olympic medals and what kind of a journey it takes to be there. So yeah.
Aditya, being a paracyclist is not easy. Yours is a unique story. You were abroad. You came to Telangana. It's here when you were probably 28 when you had that accident.
Yeah.
And then 6 years later, you picked up cycling?
Yes, basically, the time when I met with an accident, there was zero awareness of para sports. And I used to try checking online that there's any academy somewhere in India where I can go and swim. But I couldn't find anything. But luckily, I just saw a hoarding of a cycling event. and that inspired me to take cycling. And I still remember my falls. I had more than 1,000 falls maybe to design my own artificial limb for my Asian Championship. वो हो जाता है ना थोड़ा बहुत, मतलब कुछ ना कुछ अच्छा मिल जाएगा and you might get a better timing. So I tried on my artificial limb and it came off when I was training and went inside my front wheel. I flew in air for 10 feet, got an injury in my tailbone, and after that there was no hope to go and represent India. But I lied everyone. I represented my country, and the day I still remember when I was on a cycle saddle, I was in a bad pain. I gave my all out, and I could win 2 silver medals for country at Asian Championship. So that was I was the first Indian to win 2 silver medals for country. So Telangana was the state from, in fact, the AP earlier and now Telangana. Everywhere we have got a good support. We run an organization NGO today to help all people with disabilities for pursuing sport from grassroots level, from like scratch. And we work with all the CAPF, Central Armed Police Force. So everybody come here in Hyderabad and train with us in our academy, which is Asia's first para sports academy and rehabilitation center from grassroots level. And from that 2 medals, we could achieve more than 200 international medals, what I feel. It is because of we being in this state. The system, without the system, running an NGO is very tough. And the system really supports the whole organization. It might be any awareness rides, any of our infinity rides, that is our awareness ride and fundraising ride. Or it might be supporting any athletes, in fact. And they are coming up with a nice, we are working on it, with a really nice policy where the para athletes will also start getting jobs in the state.
Gagan, Aditya mentioned about grassroots. Now, your work has essentially been with kids who are coming up and supporting them with the best infrastructure at the grassroots. Tell us, how far has your work progressed in the state of Telangana, and you're doing this pan-India. The reason we are also doing this show is because, for everyone to know what is next for Telangana, how they can utilize the start that they have already got to produce more and more champions like you.
Well, yes, Rika, we started the Gagan Narang Sports Promotion Foundation in 2011 after my Commonwealth win in 2010. And we started our academy operations in Telangana 3 years ago, and I think the journey has been fantastic. We had fantastic infrastructure here for the sport of shooting. In the first batch of that project,
Right.
It's called Project Leap, and it's been producing champions ever since. 25 of the athletes who are talented for the sport of shooting are completely supported with foreign training, with the dietitian, with the nutritionist, with the masseur, with the mental trainer, and everything is taken care. And these kind of facilities were unheard of when we started the sport.
That's why I
of
called you the Christopher Columbus,
sport
because
of-
no one knew
the
about
sport of shooting. Yes,
shooting, yeah.
so we kind of the part that I had to chart on my own is now pretty much charted for these young athletes, and all they need to do, or rather all the parents need to do, is get them to the shooting ranges and just start shooting. I mean, my parents had to sell a plot of land to buy a gun for me. Today they just need to come in and they can start shooting with a gun for a fraction of the cost that I had to spend when I started shooting. So we've come a long way, and I think the state of Telangana has a lot of potential in the sport of shooting. Isha is one amongst them. You have Dhanush, you have Surabhi, and so on, and so many other shooters that are in line following footsteps of what Isha has done.
So basically, you create an idol, you create a story, and the pathway is created, much like what even you have done, Aditya. How is your work, how is your story influencing para athletes at the grassroots? Because we know in Paralympic Games there are about 1,500 medals to be won.
Yes,
and
it's around
India has
1,500.
managed to win up to 19.
Yes, 19, and that is like first time double digit. So it was after that the awareness is like people have come to know what is para sports. Earlier when I used to cycle, people used to look at me in a very weird way. First thing, everybody, they ask you, how did it happen? And we at our academy, which is Aditya Mehta Foundation, we never ask our athlete that how did it happen. We just tell them that what can you do, what can you achieve.
Gagan, I really have to ask you, what makes Telangana such a rich hub of sporting talents? What is it? I mean, you look anywhere, you find one star or the other, and there are just so many of them.
Well, this question has been asked a lot of times earlier, and I always blame it to the biryani here. But having said that, I think first of all, a great infrastructure, absolutely necessary because you need the fields to go out there and play. Second main ingredient would be athlete-friendly programs and strategies for funding and support from the government. And third, of course, is international exposure. So, what you gain from here is something that helps you leap into the Indian team, and then the system takes over again.
Right.
But the idea is to kind of create such a system wherein school support. I mean, Isha is studying herself. Her school supports her in whatever way they can. The colleges support. So the ecosystem of sport, and it's not just a Gagan Naran
So was it there when you were in school and college?
Yeah,
this kind of
absolutely. I
support?
mean, my school and college just said, just play, and we'll give you extra classes. Whenever you come back, you study as much
lovely.
as you want, and then you just give your exams, and that was a big help for us. Otherwise, we wouldn't be where we are today.
Right. Gagan, I have to ask you about, Telangana, because it has thrown up so many sports stars. Is it time for the state to adopt a few sports and kind of help more and more sports people from those sports to gain excellence, like the way, Odisha has taken to hockey? And even Jharkhand has picked up a few sports. Is it time? And is that a way also of developing sports overall the community?
Well, I think that's absolutely a fantastic model to kind of emulate and take from and kind of make it better. Because something that's already existing, there's no point reinventing the wheel. But the idea is to invent the wheel again and do it better. So I think the Orissa model, of course, can be followed. But we have the potential in Hyderabad and the state of Telangana I would say we enjoy good infrastructure with the kind of facilities we have. We have 3 or 4 top academies in the country. I mean, he's running one, there's Jwala running one, Gopi running one, and so on and so forth.
You're running one.
I am running one as well. But you just have to support whatever is coming our way and just take it to the next level. I mean, we have the talent available, we have the knowledge and the expertise. The path is laid out for us to go to that Olympic medal, and it just needs to be supported.
Inspiration, role models, and the Telangana sports story is what we are talking about. Time for a very tiny break on the show. There's going to be more conversation on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. We are talking about Telangana's sports story, the role models and inspirations here. We are joined by Gagan Narang, Isha Singh and Aditya Mehta. Gagan, you have spent a large part of your life here, though you were born in Chennai. You've been all over the country, but your shooting career essentially started here. You have experienced the road to glory in this city of Hyderabad. Tell us some of those, moments, or maybe one moment in your entire career that you connect with the city and that'll forever remain with you.
Well, I think the city has a great culture of sport. And if it was not for this great culture of sport that our seniors laid down for us, of course, the kind of enthusiasm and the kind of smile that it lights up on the faces of people wouldn't have been there. So one such incident that I would talk about is something that happened way back in college. And our college was very strict. I studied in Bhavans in Sainikpuri, and our college was very strict with attendance. So there were a couple of friends of mine who were in my class who couldn't go ahead because they didn't have the right attendance.
Right.
And I always, of course, didn't have the right kind of attendance that was required.
Because you were shooting
because
you
I
were
was
a full-time shooter by then.
because I was shooting, and one fine day I ended up going to college because I just came back from my competition, and I was about 3 minutes late to the assembly. And the assembly dispersed, and one teacher caught me and I said, hang on, where are you coming from? I said, ma'am, sorry, I got late and I need to attend class. He's like, what's your name? I said, she asked me, what's your name? I said, Gagan Narang. He's like, you can't be Gagan Narang. He never comes to college. So I said, no, ma'am, I am Gagan Narang.
And he did go to college
was,
that day.
Yeah. So it was quite a interesting moment, and I think
I remember the day you came back with your Olympic medal. That was quite a moment in the city.
Yes, absolutely. I think the fantastic and the rousing welcome that I had here, right from the airport until the CM's camp office, I think was fantastic and very memorable for me.
Isha, for you?
I think I've had a couple of incidents like that. Sometimes my classmates wouldn't recognize me. They're like, oh, you've come to school today. Like, how? What happened? So,
What happened that you are in school today?
yeah, like you don't have any camp or anything. So I missed I think couple of years of school like that where I've seen usually boys grow up too much in the 9th and 10th. I'm like, oh, I don't remember these guys. Like, are they really my class? Is this the right class I'm in? So yeah.
Aditya, your story?
I started my cycling career in 2012 or so. So I can just say that my riding on the roads in Hyderabad, and more importantly, I told you earlier, still I remember that
Has the
day.
city been kind to you?
Yes, absolutely. I am born and brought up Hyderabad. I am a proper Hyderabadi, being a Gujarati, but always I say I am a Hyderabadi. So that fall always I remember, and that fall made me so strong that I could get medals back to my own country, my city. So Hyderabad's roads are always if you ask me, I have almost rode every road in Hyderabad. So being in Hyderabad is
मतलब आप चप्पा चप्पा गए हैं
बिल्कुल
इस शहर की.
हर गली में. In fact, the toughest route what we take every time in hill training is our Whisper Valley. If you might know here, it's like a
Challenging.
most challenging and the best route what we feel.
One unique part about this city, Rika, I would like to tell you, there's someone who stayed here for some time and who's made local friends. Will tell you the same story. I mean, no matter which part of the world you go, if you say you're from Hyderabad and that guy has been in Hyderabad, he doesn't feel like you're meeting him for the first time. It doesn't feel like, this guy is a stranger.
Connect.
It's an instant connect. And oh, you're from Hyderabad, and it's like family. So
How many of them have you met in your Olympic village all this while? Oh,
well,
you're from
I
Hyderabad.
met a few people, in fact, surprisingly, who were working in Athens, which was my first Olympics, from Hyderabad. And the moment they said, I'm from Hyderabad, and he was also from Hyderabad, so extra food in the dining on the dining hall, on the dining table, and the works were laid out for you. So it has been that's an interesting part of Hyderabad, actually.
Well, great stories of Hyderabad, Telangana, your inspirations and role models. Well, these are the stories that the state of Telangana will probably hinge on to produce champions in the future. Thanks for watching.